Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Backup Stories, Episode 9. My name is Justin Townsend. As always, I'm here with my very good friend, Mr. Rob Newmeyer.
How you doing?
It's been another week, Rob. Another week has come and gone. Lots of comic books were released, which we're going to talk about. But I think that the big news from last week was that tickets went on sale for NYCC, New York Comic Con, and it was a disaster.
Yeah. If you thought last year was bad, this year was like 4 times as worse. I know. Well, before I talk to you, I only know one person that was able to get tickets, and like between customers and everyone, and then you had mentioned Andy also
Was able
managed
to
to
get
get
tickets,
tickets. I think it's horrendous.
It's really bad. You know, going to these conventions is getting harder and harder and harder. I mean, the video game conventions that we go to, like PAX, um, it's nearly impossible to get the tickets for those. To combat ticket scalping, what they do for PAX is they just put the tickets up for sale without warning. And it's always been my dream to go to Seattle to go to PAX Prime, and it just so happens, like, I don't think I told you this, but like 2 weeks ago, uh, they went on sale randomly on Twitter as usual. Like, they announced like tickets are on sale now, and I saw it 44 seconds after it went up on sale. And I got in the queue line immediately. Now, I don't even think I can go this year, but I wanted to see, like, all right, I saw this 44 seconds after it went up. What are the tickets going to look like? And then in the back of my mind, I'm like debating, like, well, I may not ever get this chance. If I get them, should I just buy them and maybe like figure out a way to go? So after waiting in the queue line for like 8 or 9 minutes, it brought me to the page where I could buy tickets. And all of the 3-day, 4-day pass, all of those were sold out, and it was only single day tickets available. And I debated it, but with the baby on the way, I couldn't go.
No, that's understandable. But how do you do you have notifications turned on so they come to your phone, or did
Nothing.
you just happen to be looking?
I just happened to be looking.
What are the odds?
That's the thing, is they're really small. And we got to go to PAX East this year. Same thing. I just happened to be on Twitter and updated the page, and it was like PAX East tickets are now on sale. 16 seconds after after that tweet went out, I was able to get into the queue line and then get the tickets for us.
That's it. You have some weird second sense.
Because the year before, we were planning on going to PAX Prime, and I missed it by 16 minutes. And by that time, the convention was completely sold out, and the secondary market was selling them for like 200-300% markups, and it was like, no, there's no way. But Comic-Con doesn't do that. It doesn't let the tickets just go out randomly. There's a date that it's set, and it's like tickets will go on sale on this day. But this year it was different. In years past, they've rolled them out in waves, where it was VIP tickets are on sale first, and then like a couple days later, it was like, oh, if you want the 4-day tickets or the 3-day tickets, they go on sale, and then single day tickets went on sale. But it seems like this year they just rolled everything out at one time.
Yeah, because I think doing it in waves, the scalpers get more that way technically, because they're waiting. They're like, okay, I can do 4 days, get as many as I want now, but it still seems like they got them all anyway.
It's awful. And you saw something online, an article today. I guess one of the heads of Comic-Con was trying to get out in front of this mess.
Yeah. They released a statement apologizing, saying that traffic was tenfold compared to 2014, and that they're gonna try and counteract any of the scalper buys by cross-checking names and credit cards with different, eBay accounts and like StubHub, and void those tickets. Now, can you imagine buying a secondary ticket? I know people who this is their one vacation every year.
Yeah.
They come to New York, they spend the weekend in the city, and they go to Comic-Con. Like Ryan and his dad, they make it their trip every year, and to miss it for them is big. So they've had to buy scalper tickets before.
Yeah.
But can you imagine just buying it and getting to the door and then being like, nope, see you later?
Yeah, I don't know how they'll possibly do that. That seems like such an extreme measure. Like, they've already gone. They said that they've been going down and putting on takedown notices
Uh-huh.
for people who are selling them on like StubHub or eBay, and like I absolutely hate those people. You know, I get the fact that you want to make money and stuff, but it's just like it's just wrong when so many people want to go to this thing, and that you are taking somebody's joy away, so that way you can make a couple $100 on a set of tickets. It's just like frustrating that type of stuff happens. I mean, it happens for everything, sporting events, concerts, but this is just Comic-Con's gotten to the point now where it's just so big that it's gotten the attention of all these people.
Yeah. It's crazy. And like there is no answer to what do they do to alleviate the problem.
No.
I mean, other than finding a huge place, but there is nowhere in the city like that.
And the thing is, the best way to do it would be to cross-check names as you come in. Like you pick up your tickets at a counter, and they have hundreds of counters set up for when people come, and then that way you show them your ID, and that you get handed the ticket. That is the only way to do it, and the guys at PAX have mentioned that before. Like this is the best way to do it, but it is also going to chew up time for people.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, the lines are long enough already.
Yeah. So
and like even when I do go and pick up tickets, I've never ever in 4 or 5 years had ID checked.
Yeah. I mean, the only way to possibly do that would be like a week out of the show. Be like, you can come to the Javits Center and have people stationed there a week out, and be like, if you wanted to pick up your tickets a week in advance, so that way the day of the show you don't have to worry about it. That would be the only thing. But I mean, then
but then people could sell them within the week.
Exactly.
So yeah, there's no answers. There's no solutions. It'll continue to be like this.
Yeah. I'm excited for the con, but it is so far away. It seems it's still like over 100 days away. So
yeah, it's gonna be a crazy crazy 4 or 5 days.
Meeting up with some people we haven't met before, some listeners of the show, some friends, and if any of you guys are going to the con and you want to meet up and say hello, possibly get a beer, send us a message on Twitter, and we'll try and meet up.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Yes. All right, let's get right into books. Let's get right to it. So another good week for books. I feel that Marvel and DC really knocked it out of the park this week with the events.
Definitely.
And let's start with Secret Wars #2. So last week we mentioned that on the show that neither Rob or I had any idea of what was going to be coming in Secret Wars #2. It was kind of a complete guesses and speculation.
And again, just spoilers. We're going to say it.
Yep. You're the one that always remembers. I always forget. So that's right, Rob. Spoilers from here on out. So what'd you think of Secret Wars #2?
To me, it feels like it is like an epic what if story.
Yes. Okay.
Just like this new amazing fantasy world with people in power that shouldn't be in power, and people interacting with each other that normally don't interact. Stuff like that always gets my juices going.
All right. So let's break this down again.
Okay.
So you open the cover, and I'm getting into the first part here.
Well, it starts off with a almost like an Excalibur type situation where they just have lines of people trying to see if they could lift Thor's hammer.
Yeah.
And I think that's fascinating. You kind of throw in a couple of different lures together to see who the worthy one is.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the sword in the stone comparison there, but it's right on.
Correct. Yeah, and basically that's a recruitment for the Thor Corps.
Yeah, which so I'm trying to think of the right way to go about this. So the two universes collide, everything is seemingly wiped out, and the first thing that we see here is this guy trying to lift up a hammer, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, what is going on? What am I looking at here? And so the one man is able to lift up the hammer, and I'm like, oh cool, he's Thor. And then I look and I'm like, oh no, there's another Thor here. And then I like what the lead Thor here says. They all have different names. Your name, you will name yours, but they all serve the same purpose. They're talking about the hammers. And then it's a whole bunch of Thors just lifting up the hammer saying justice. So the Thors are the police force of this interesting new world. But it's interesting that they chose to start here. And we're like, okay, but where is this? What's going on here?
Well, I like kind of how they did it because, this guy is being introduced to the Thor Corps, and then you're almost seeing the inner workings of how everything is set up through his eyes. Like,
Yeah.
you're introduced to the first set of barons, and barons. There's a baron for each part of Battle World.
Yeah.
So
And we're gonna break that down.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really cool. The lead Thor says to this new one, now you'll bend your knee, brother, for God is watching. And then it zooms out and there's a giant doom mask looking down on them. And then you flip the page and it says God Emperor Doom, which is, I was like, okay, what's going on? What's happening here? And so you're right. They use this new Thor as a gateway for the readers. They're like, well, now, boy, come tell us all the story you know. And so now he's filling us in on the workings of whatever this world is, like all these different things smashed together and creating this thing called Battle World. There's a lot of him just flying around, recounting the story, catching us up to speed, which I thought was good. I'd rather see that than like in the beginning of the issue have a recap page like since the last issue, this is where you now are, because like you're taking it in panel by panel, and every sentence or paragraph that's said here, you're seeing what's going on.
Exactly.
So we run into the kingdom of Utopolis, and we get our first look kind of at like the future foundation of what's going on with them in this world. And it looks like they they find some they jump through water, like into this water, and then they come out the other side.
Yeah, it's almost like
a mirror, like a mirror,
a flip world. Yeah, there's something on the other side of Battle World.
So they flip it around, and they think they find something, and we see that they find the Lifecraft from the Lifecraft trying to escape the 616 and 1610 worlds, smashing into each other. So more stuff, like more just craziness starts happening. So we know that the Thors are the police force, and so this older Thor is taking this younger Thor for like his first assignment. Like veteran cop taking the rookie cop to go make their first arrests.
Yeah, so it was and I love the Baron system. I think that's really cool because you're going to start to see characters that who are power hungry already. So truly being control of their own little city or part of a world, I guess you could say. And just seeing how they abuse their power, like the whole Mr. Sinister thing is hilarious.
Yeah. So Sinister is a Baron. He resides at Bar Sinister, and there's accusations that have been made against him. So the Thors are coming to arrest him, and their trial system is like you get tried and your punishment is doled out on the same day. This whole thing screams Game of Thrones to me, and I've heard a lot of people make that comparison.
That and even like Judge Dredd almost.
Yeah, that makes sense as well. I was just thinking Game of Thrones because I haven't actually seen Dredd, but I know the basic concept of it. But I was just thinking between all the lands broken down, the king.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then all the barons who are fighting for power and things like that. It reminded me of that. So we'll skip forward a bit, and we first get our view of Doom sitting on what looks like the World Tree.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Nice. Stephen Strange is the sheriff of Amagato, which is just hysterical. We see the Captain Britain, like the Captain Britain's here, and there's a lot of back and forth and like a little bit of writing here where there's accusations made, and now they want it. Sinister wants to have a trial of combat, and so they go through with that, and it's all really, really cool. Sinister is not what you expect him to be in the combat. He actually gets his head lopped off, and then that doesn't actually defeat him. And right when it looks like he's going to defeat, it's Brian, right?
Yes.
Doom stops him and goes forward of talking about I care little for your petty disagreements. So basically, one of them has been charged with trying to like overtake Doom.
Yeah.
And he knows about it. And Brian, what's the other brother's name here? I forget. Let's see. The other Captain Britain.
I just jumping off to something quick on this page
and
most of the pages though. The whole Sue with Doom thing.
Yeah.
Is
so Sue is sitting at Doom's side.
And because that's all he. Well, that's one of the things that he always wanted was Sue, and
here he gets her. Basically, he decides to just execute all of the Captain Britain house. We're just going to call them houses. And Sue says, like, no, Victor, mercy. And then he chooses just to execute the one. And the means of execution at the end is amazing. He says, you get the shield, and we'll explain what that means in a minute. Valeria doing Valeria things. In charge of the Future Foundation. She knows about the craft.
Exactly. And I absolutely love that. It's like they find the craft, and it's like, well, if this craft existed before what we have here, then Doom is a false prophet. Doom's lying to us.
And they use carbon dating to figure out that this craft has been here for way too long, and that it's going to rewrite everything we know about this history, because none of them remember what happened before. They don't recognize the fact that the incursions happen. Like, this world is their entire universe, and it's all they know.
And we don't even know how long they've been at this for.
We don't know at all. You're right. I love the use of Galactus here. Galactus is just standing outside Castle Doom, and Franklin is just sitting there in his hands.
It's his Galactus, yeah.
And no nothing. It's just an image there. They don't explain what's going on with Galactus, just showing that, hey, Franklin's got Galactus just standing here watching guard. So now we get to the really cool part of the issue to me, and the part that got me really excited. The exile. So the shield is 250 feet tall and 16,000 miles long, each built by God Doom's own hands. And then it says a good place as any for a man to die. And then so you see this Captain Britain jumping off the shield over into what we find out is called the Deadlands. And the Deadlands is, I guess, where it's kind of like Game of Thrones. It's the wall in the north. This is the wall in the south, and it keeps out all of the things from entering into these kingdoms. The zombies, the zombie horde, the annihilation wave, the Ultron AI. And then, it says that, the Captain Britain fought for a while, but he was eventually overtaken. And they don't show it, but they go into it.
I'm sure that'll pop up in like one of the side stories.
The Sheriff Strange sends the Thors to go quarantine this the life craft, not knowing what it is. They don't want to bring attention to it at all. They want to quarantine it and eventually destroy it. So they go do that, and they accidentally open it up. So you're like, oh, they're opening it up. Like, okay, we're going to see Reed and T'Challa and, all of the Marvel heroes. And instead, there's a giant spear that's thrown out that impales both of these Thors, which is something because Thors are supposed to be very powerful. And you find out that it's the Cabal. And you're like, well, wait a second. They didn't have a life raft. They didn't know anything about that.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was kind of thinking. It's like that life raft is huge. There has to be different compartments and stuff. So I'm sure other people got on there somehow.
But they actually said, Ultimate Reed comes out and he's like, we're not on our Earth, not any planet in our native galaxy, but we're alive. So the design you stole worked. So it looks like he's talking to Maximus. So Maximus must have went and, and we'll probably see this at some point, stole Reed's design for the life craft. So Reed must have built one in secret and then got on it. And so now there's probably 2 life crafts that went out.
You think? Because that almost looks like the same position that the last one was left in.
I don't know, but I'm just going off of the design you stole worked. It says, I've also accessed the raft's diagnostics. The compression of all space-time might have led to some kind of external distortion while we were in stasis, but something is very wrong with these readings. So we don't know how long they've been in stasis, long enough for this world to have advanced to the part where they recognize carbon dating. And so they actually find one of the mole, is it like one of the mole men? And Thanos says, perhaps he can tell me, creature, where are we? Thanos wants a name, and he goes, this place? The Highborn call it Lavirion. Believers call it God's kingdom, but everyone else, we common folk, call it something else. We call it
Battle World.
I thought this was really great. This part right here, where it's like Battle World, but the only thing that turns me off is like right next to the Battle World reveal is advertisements for upcoming Marvel books. Like I wish they would have just went with a white page here and then like across both wrote Battle World. It was kind of a little bit of the oomph was taken out of it by like me seeing Renew Your Vows and little Marvel AVX right on the opposite side page.
No, that makes sense.
And then we get the whole map of what this world looks like. Now, this image has been out there for a while. They've been showing this image, and they've had interactive maps here for at least a couple of months where you could click on and learn about all of the different lands here. So we have, and they give you a reading of everything right on the left-hand side, but you can see down here is this line where it's the shield. And then this would be the Deadlands down here with, the Ultron AI and the zombie world. And that whole bit got me kind of excited for everything that's going to be coming with all these other books. What I thought was pretty strange was down here on the left-hand side, there is a little chunk of rock that's like floating off, and number 20, I don't know where it is on the map here. Oh, there's 20, is Manhattan. And then Manhattan is actually broken down into 4 parts. A is Attilan. B is Manhattan of the Earth 616 universe.
Oh, that's
C
cool.
is Manhattan of 1610. And D is Monster Metropolis, which is below Manhattan, Earth 616. So that means there is in this world, buried underneath level, whatever part 20 is, Manhattan, is remnants of the 2 universes stacked on top of each other, which I wasn't expecting. And I'm sure that we're eventually going to make our way over there. But yeah, it's there.
Yeah, I like that because, I mean, technically, the whole Attilan thing in Amazing Spider-Man, and it crossed over into a bunch of it, the whole Atlantis attacks. Do you remember that whole Submariner story when
yes,
when they were trying to take over like all the major cities and stuff?
I remember that.
That's probably what that's kind of based off of. So, I love it.
Yeah. So like reading this now, this whole Battle World thing makes a bunch of sense to me, because this is the world, and they've set it up in a way where it's like, okay, these are all these different lands. Now we know that there is a mess of books that are coming that are taking place inside of this world that has been created. I mean, Rob's going to go over the list of like everything that's been announced so far. It'll probably take like 2 minutes or so just to read through it all, and then we'll pick like 1 or 2 that we're really looking forward to.
Okay, so we'll start off then. Kind of broken down. So the Battle World titles that'll affect the main storyline: Secret Wars Ultimate End, Inhumans Attilan Rising, Secret Wars Battle World, Secret Wars Master of Kung Fu, and this is my favorite, like, play on word, Secret Wars Journal. So that's like the Punisher War Journal.
Yeah.
I love that. Then you have Ghost Racers, Thor's, Age of Ultron versus Marvel Zombies, Star-Lord and Kitty Pryde, Marvel Zombies, Runaways, the Korvac Saga. There's a Red Skull and a Siege. These are one-shots. This one is, at least. Secret Wars, Secret Love. And now these are Warzone titles. It's side story / new world building. This is kind of what they're going to base whatever the new Marvel Universe will turn into.
Well, is that what they're doing, or are they really just focusing in on the Warzone? Like, this is what's happening in that Battle World thing.
It's going to be setting up stuff for. It's also setting up stuff for the new universe.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Oh yeah. So Secret Wars 2099, Deadpool's Secret Wars, A Force,
which is what everyone's excited about.
Oh yeah, Where Monsters Dwell, MODOK Assassin, Inferno, Spider-Verse, Planet Hulk, Old Man Logan, Infinity Gauntlet, X-Men 92 that's going to be one of the digital firsts, and then later on they'll do a print version. We have Extinction Agenda, Weird World, Future Imperfect, E for Extinction, Guardians of Nowhere, Mrs. Deadpool and the Howling Commandos, Giant Size Little Marvel, AVX, Captain Marvel and the Carol Corps, Squadron Sinister, Years of Future Past, Armor Wars. X-Men 92 is listed twice, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, oh well. 1602 Witch Hunter Angela, Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows. And we have 1872, Age of Apocalypse, Civil War, Hail Hydra, Captain Britain and the Mighty Defenders, Spider Island, House of M, Hank Johnson, Agent of Hydra, and Howard the Human. Now, that is quite a few books.
Yeah.
What, like right off the bat, what's your
Old Man Logan?
Old Man, really?
Yeah. I really loved that Old Man Logan run by Mark Miller. And I've always wanted the sequel to it. So any other story that I can get set in that universe, I'm really excited about.
Okay. For me, like Runaways.
Yeah. And that's like, now it's not the actual team of Runaways, right?
No, there are new, like Valeria is there. Yeah. You have a younger version of Bucky.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So it's going to be, younger Marvel characters, obviously, but newer versions of some people who have de-aged or just different versions of them.
1872 sounds cool. As well. I mean, we're both big Spider-Man fans, so whatever happens
Spidey, sure.
with Renew Your Vows,
or even the Spider Island. Like Spider Island was such a weird, cool little, contained in Manhattan story. It would be awesome to revisit that and just see everyone infected with the spider powers again.
Same thing for Planet Hulk. Like I thought Planet Hulk was a great storyline, and to like go back and re-look at that. I mean, it's just so wild that they're doing this, and we're going to talk about Convergence in a minute, but like it's kind of got the same vibe as Convergence, but then it's kind of different in a completely other way. But I think that this issue 2 was much easier for people to get into because everybody was confused coming into it. There was no, what's the word that I'm looking for here? You didn't need any previous knowledge. You just need to know the two universes smack into each other, and that everybody who opened this issue had no idea really what to expect from the first page. And for that way, I think that it was more accessible. And from what I read, Hickman wanted this issue to be issue 1.
Really? So I was just about to ask you, do you think it should have been an issue 0, issue 1 thing, or
I think it should have been issue 0, issue 1. That makes more sense.
Or should it have just been an Avengers, the next number of Avengers, which was what, 45?
Yeah.
Should it have been a 45 and then a 1?
They could have also went with Free Comic Book Day. They could have put out that last issue or Secret Wars #1 as the Free Comic Book Day issue, where everybody could have gotten their hands on it and read it for free, and then started Secret Wars with this. But then you're giving away, they're giving away a lot, I realize.
Yeah, because they sold that many for $5 a piece anyway.
I know. It's not like they're hurting for the money, though. Well, either way, I think that this is if you skipped 1 and it was like way too much, I'd say jump into 2, because, hey, you could be confused with the rest of us. And I liked it. Like it got me pumped up for this event in a big way.
Yeah, like I said, being such a big fan of the What If and the old Elseworld stories, it's cool. I can't wait.
Yeah. So let's talk about Convergence.
Okay.
We didn't talk about Convergence for the last couple of weeks. I feel this was the best issue of it by far. And you said that because
it's not just the Earth 2 characters. Like they bring in the actual new 52 characters, and That's what this needed the whole time.
Yes, this needed different versions of Superman. We have. This is not actually the pre-52 version of Superman, because this Superman is running.
No,
Talks
that's the
about
Earth 2 Superman.
this one. This guy.
Oh,
Right
yes,
here.
yes.
Yeah.
My bad. I
He's
thought you were
actually talking
pointing
about
to the
having
other
to get
guy.
back to his wife and son.
Yeah.
So this is a different version, but I mean, it makes it at least feels better, because he's wearing the he's wearing the tights. He's got the red underwear. Like, you realize, like, oh, Superman. Okay, he's got a wife and kid. This
Even the
version.
way he talks throughout the issue, like he gives hope.
Yeah,
Like when he's
it's
talking
Superman.
to, yeah, exactly.
And this is what this issue needed, was that they get those characters. Like, I don't really know the Earth 2 characters, but like, I'm beginning to see things here that I'm starting to recognize. Even if I don't recognize the characters, I'm recognizing the theme of the characters. There's a really great scene here where this version of Superman actually talks to the Earth 2 version of Dick Grayson.
That was like the defining scene in the book.
I'm actually just gonna read this page, because it pretty much highlights everything that we're talking about here. So everyone has a mission that they're going to go do. They're going to look for all the other versions of themselves. So the Flashes are going to go try and the Flash is going to go try and round up all the different Flashes and so on and so forth. So everyone leaves except for Superman and Dick. And Dick asks Superman, "Why aren't you going anywhere?" "Because I need to talk to you." "To me? Why?" "Because you might be the most important player in all of this." "That's right. That's a joke. I don't have any powers. I'm just," and he says, "It's not about your powers, Dick. It's about your perspective. I've been listening to everything on this planet since we got here. I've heard every conversation you've had with Telos. We're going to need his help. And I believe that you're the only one that can get it. I leave that up to you." "Wait, how? What am I supposed to say? If you're anything like the Dick Grayson I know, I trust you'll figure it out." And it's just Superman being, looking, about to fly away, but looking at Dick as an equal and being like, "Look, I know you don't have powers, but if you're like the man that I know, you're going to get this done." And he's like giving Dick that hope. And, Dick is looking up at the end. I thought it was just like a really beautiful image there. And first of all, I really like that costume.
Yes.
Where he has the bat symbol on, and he's looking up and he's like, "All right, I'm going to go do this." And so he goes and talks to Telos. We get to meet Barry Allen. I mean, we have the Earth 2 Flash running into everybody, and then there's Barry there. There's like a little bit of humor and hope. He runs into Superboy. And so,
yeah, he's just trying to round up everyone possible.
Yeah. And so they get all the heroes together, which is just amazing. Like, this is what I wanted this event to be, is all of the different versions of the heroes meeting up. We got old versions of Batman and Superman, Green Lantern, the Hook, Aquaman. I mean, it's great. And so now the end of this issue actually brings the real conflict into play. I'm trying to think if there was another event that was like this, where it was kind of like a misdirection in the beginning. You're like, oh, all these worlds are going to be fighting. But in the end, it's really not all the worlds that are going to be fighting for their survival. It's like there's two distinct groups that are going to be fighting here. And I thought that was really good. So you're a little bit more familiar with this character than I am. What was his name? It was Demios?
Yes.
So he goes and rounds up all of the alternate versions of the characters who might not always be on the side of good and truth and justice and all that jazz. And now these two sets are going to be fighting it out. So Telios is actually getting together all the heroes, and Damios, or however you say his name, is getting up all the villains. So that, I mean, now these people are going to be fighting it out for survival. So now it's like the stage is set. Like, I feel like the stage was like in constant motion for the first, how many issues is this up to now?
That's 6.
6, and there's 8, right?
Yes.
I would have liked to have seen, I mean, I guess a little bit of that, I guess, world building for this event in the first 5 issues be shortened down a bit and into like maybe 3, and then have like, because it feels like now we've got 2 issues left. And I feel like, all right, now we're at the point where everything's coming into play. Like,
I had already said that the first 3 issues should have been 1 issue.
1 issue, yeah.
Like with that was hands down. But could you imagine, like, if this wasn't a weekly, if this was coming out monthly, how dragged out this would be?
Yeah. I'm excited now for this. Like, I'm excited to pick up the next issue and see where this goes. I thought it was really interesting with, I guess, the villains group. We have these 2 characters here, which I did not expect to see. We have oh, what was that? What was that event called? Not Justice. Oh, it's on my shelf. The Alex Ross drawn one.
The Kingdom.
Kingdom Come.
Uh-huh.
Those are the Kingdom Conversions of Superman and Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect them to see them in the same group as, Flashpoint Wonder Woman or Flashpoint Aquaman or Deathstroke, Lex Luthor. It's just a little bit strange to see them there.
Uh-huh. I'm sure people will have changes of hearts, change sides,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. You never
there's
know.
There's Ultraman there.
Yeah.
So like I got reinvigorated for this series. Like I was really close to dropping it and just being like, hey, this is for me. I really don't know these characters, and I'll just pick up DC after after this ends. But reading this, I thought they turned around the event in a huge way in this issue.
Good.
And
they needed to.
Yeah, they needed to. And very quickly, Rob and I were talking right before the show started. They're showing previews for what's happening after the event. And like with Secret Wars, there's we've gone down the whole list of books that are coming. And a couple of weeks ago, or even a couple of months ago now, DC started listing some of the books that are going to be taking place after this ends. And we know that Superman is getting a new writer, but I thought it was really cool. This week, Kotaku had an article talking about what's going to happen to Superman after this event. And we saw the images. It was from Action Comics. So Superman, I mean, everyone knows he's going to be running around in a jean and t-shirt, and it's been slipped or leaked that his identity is going to be exposed to the world by Lois Lane. So everyone's going to know Superman as Clark Kent.
Yeah, I mean that they showed that in the free comic book day thing anyway.
That's right. But nobody really understood, like, why is Superman running around in a jeans and t-shirt? And so there was a preview from Action Comics where he is not completely depowered, but he does not have his full set of powers. He's actually riding a snowmobile to get to the fortress. And we don't know why he's in such a hurry to get there, but he's thinking to himself how cold it is and how he had never had to worry about this stuff before. He gets to the fortress, and the fortress thinks that because he's not fully powered, that it's an imposter wearing Superman's costume, and it actually like strips the costume off of him. And he's like holding on to the cape as it's being pulled into the fortress, and like
his hands are bleeding. Yeah. That was cool.
I think Superman is the book that I'm looking most forward to now. Like I'm really interested to see where they go with this.
It'll be cool because that's one of the things, and we've talked about there being only a handful of really good Superman stories that have like blown me away, at least.
Yeah,
because he's overpowered. There's
it's hard to write a god. Like Superman, for all intents and purposes, is a god walking among men. So how do you make a god interesting? They've tried to come up with ways to make villains more powerful than he is, but in the end of the day, Superman's always going to win. But as far as I know, this is the first time they've ever taken the character and done something like this, where his identity has been exposed to the world. We're kind of getting into like Civil War Spider-Man, revealing that he's Peter Parker territory. Like that's never happened. And Peter did that intentionally. It doesn't look like this is going to be Clark's decision that his identity is revealed, but it adds like a different layer onto the character, and I think makes it more interesting. Is it going to last? Who knows? Probably not.
Well, that's the thing. That's the only thing that kind of takes most of it out for me, is like it's not going to last, just for the fact that with the movies coming out and
But for me, it's like I view character deaths in comics the same way.
Oh, I know.
It's not going to last, but you know what? In the meantime, we might get like a cool story out of it.
Yeah, and I'll 100% take that.
Yeah. So I think that looks really good. And with Convergence now picking up steam, like I'm excited to pick it up. I'm excited to see what DC has planned.
Yay.
Let's jump into an Image book. Book we don't really talk that much about. It's The Walking Dead. You had this in your pile, so why did you want to bring it out?
Because with the return of Negan and his sharp tongue, he makes me laugh. Like with how dirty he talks and how disgusting of a human being he is. It's just so interesting to see how Rick reacts to him.
Yeah. The cover issue is since issue 127.
That was the time jump. Yeah.
That was the time jump forward 2 years. So at the end of it, 126, Rick and his band of survivors defeat Negan, and Rick wants to kill him, but decides like, no, like if we're going to rebuild society, we can't do that. Like we can't be barbaric. We have to go back to the way things were. Like there's a justice system. We're going to put him in jail, and so they create a jail to put him in. And I actually looked it up a bit and talk about it. So we see somebody left his door open, and now this guy, for the first time in 2 years, is able to leave his cell. What was interesting was he doesn't.
Nope.
He stays there and has a conversation with Rick where he wants to build up trust with Rick. And we talked about the time jump forward. There's 3 groups of survivors now who are technically working together as a community that's spread out. We have Rick leading his group of survivors, his community. We have Maggie leading the Hilltop, those survivors. And then we have one of the players from Nagon's group who's reformed, leading where Nagon used to live.
Yep.
And The Walking Dead is so interesting because it's just great characters. Like, I don't care about the zombies. I don't care about the violence. I don't care about anything. Like, after 140 issues, some of these characters are so real. Like, I just want to see them interact day to day.
Yeah.
So a lot of this is just political play.
This issue especially? Sure.
But at the end, we find out that in The Walking Dead, it's only so long before the cracks start to form. And while Rick believes in justice and, not killing people who do us wrong, over at the Hilltop in the last couple of issues, somebody may get a play on Maggie's life. And the issue ends with her hanging the guy.
Yeah.
So there's a definite difference in ideas on how to handle things. And like, for me, that's like the first sign of like the crack beginning to form.
It is, because Maggie had been against it for quite a long time.
And she's feeling the pressure of being the leader.
Yeah.
And she needs to, if you make a play on her life, she feels like this needs to be done. And I don't think that there's a right or wrong answer for this. Like, I don't think that Rick is right or Maggie is right. Like, both have their points. But it's going to be, with a difference of opinion there, it's going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward. So we had like relative peace for, 127 to 140, 13 issues or so.
Yeah, like
relative.
Exactly. You had the whisperers and stuff, but still.
So it'd be interesting to see moving forward what happens here. The issue is actually titled Opportunity, which I don't remember them doing before. I don't remember them putting.
Yeah, they're up there all the time.
Really?
Sure.
Maybe the digital version, I just don't pay attention to it because they're the ones I read digital, because that's where I have all the other ones.
Yeah, they're always on the cover like that.
So that was Nagon's Opportunity, and we'll see what comes from that. I didn't know this book came out this week until just now.
New Image title, Mythic. I wonder how many people are going to get that tattoo.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay. How to explain Mythic? Let's see. So you have a team, I guess, on Earth whose job it is to stop extreme cases of magic from harming the world.
That works. Yeah.
So it's a mix between, I would say, like Fables and Ghostbusters, and
that works really well, those two things together.
And a lot of those things have been, I guess you could say, done in comics. Everyone has read about that kind of stuff. This is just a really good fresh start on it. I think the art is absolutely beautiful.
Who's the artist on this book?
John McCrae.
Reminds me a lot of Sean Murphy. Like,
it does.
That's the way that I when I was reading this, I felt like I was reading parts of The Wake.
Yeah, no, it has that kind of like blacks inside of the color.
Character models were very similar. It's a gorgeous looking book.
Correct. Yeah. But the real winner of it is definitely the text, the words that the character's speaking.
Especially this part right here, where they're kind of explaining how science sees the world and how the world really is.
Okay. Yeah. Like, for example, this is one of the characters. For example, we're told the sun tracking through the sky above us is a mass of incandescent gas, our earthly home, a randomly formed satellite. These facts let you sleep at night, let you pretend to know what the world is all about, when actually the sun is pulled across the heavens by a flaming chariot piloted by a god clad in the dust of the comets. Earthquakes are not just shifting of tectonic plates, but the wrestling of massive twin lizard demons fighting for control of the underworld. And the tides themselves rise and fall with the weeping of an immortal princess who sleeps beneath the shore, awaiting her drowned lover's return. So,
Awesome.
yeah, there are like heavy magics in play in this book. Great setup issue.
Yeah, I agree. I read this right before we started, and I'd seen in the image books in the past couple of weeks the preview image of this page or the cover Mythic, and I thought it was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And they give a little bit of a preview of what's coming. They're trying to solve a problem at the end of the issue. There's a drought going on, and the explanation for the drought is pretty funny. One of the characters did something I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see where this goes. Like I love this type of storytelling where it's like actually the world you live in is not really the world that you think you live in.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I love that theme in anything, movies, books, comics. So I'm definitely going to stay on this.
Cool. Yeah.
Now, are you ready for your mea culpa?
Yes.
Thor number 8.
I knew it all along, and I was just playing everyone.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
I love this series, and I think a lot of it. I mean, Jason Aaron is absolutely fantastic, but Russell Dowderman's art. I mean, we've talked about it in previous issues. Man, like he's like a superstar, I think, in the making. And this combination of the two of them makes this book shine more than I think if anybody else was on it. Like I can't picture a better thing. Like Esad Ribic is doing amazing work, and we didn't even talk about the art in Secret Wars, which is great. And he did great work on Thor before this, but this, with this new Thor, the change in tone tonally, with the colors and the pencils is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the last issue. I think this is the last issue with all the Secret War stuff going on. This moves to Thor's,
correct,
plural. We finally found out the identity of who Thor is, and Rob and I mean, I can't blame him.
Because I think I talked you into it to an extent. Like I really thought it was Raz, and
I mean, they hinted at it.
They heavily pushed towards it.
Yeah,
and especially in the last issue. So the last issue might have made me a little bit weary, but I stuck with it, and now they pulled the rug out from under it all. And the only reason, and again, spoilers right now, the only reason I didn't think it was Jane is because she, for so long, had refused magics to heal herself from her breast cancer. She has breast cancer.
Yeah.
She could have been fixed. She could have been fixed, last series, basically. So I just didn't put that out there. I don't know why, but
well, I mean, in the last couple of issues, Thor's been running around with a list, and he's crossing names off the list, and the first name he crosses off is Jane.
Uh-huh.
And that should have been
that should have been the major tip off.
That should have been the tip off. How do you feel about it?
I like it a lot.
Really?
I don't mind it. And I'll tell you the only reason why I probably don't like it, but why don't you like it?
It's not that I don't like it. I think I would have rather been Agent Solomon. I think like they were leaning that way, and it would have been interesting. Like I haven't read a lot of stuff with Jane in it. And at the end here, it says, I am Dr. Jane Foster, and I will not stop being the mighty Thor, even though it's killing me. So being Thor isn't actually, it seems, healing her cancer or, postponing it, putting it away while she's Thor. It seems to be doing more damage to her. I mean, that's, if you think about it, there are a couple of heroes who have had that type of thing before. The first thing that comes to mind
Captain
is
Marvel.
Captain Marvel, Venom. The symbiote was eventually killing him. So,
no, Captain Marvel was just sick. His costume was killing him.
That's right.
But yeah,
I'm not against it in any way. I thought I really at the end of last issue I was like they're hinting at it, but this must really be it. So I was surprised by the Jane thing.
Now, my only caveat with it is how much of it is them making a play towards a female Thor being in the Marvel movie universe. And now that it is Jane Foster, now it could be Natalie Portman.
Huh. I mean, sure. I didn't think of that, but I mean, if Natalie Portman wants to pick up the hammer, who am I to stop her? I mean, really. Um,
Mm-hmm.
hey, that could work. This is a great book. Jason Aaron, if he continues to write this after Secret Wars with her, because it looks like Jane's holding the hammer for a while.
Oh yeah,
She's in the all new, all different Avengers. She was
A Force.
she's an A Force. She was a big part of Rage of Ultron,
Uh-huh.
which we still don't know is in continuality or not. You're probably hearing the ice cream man go by my house. Sorry for that. Uh, I love this book.
Yep.
Um,
Beautiful.
I gave it a second read, and I thought it was great. I mean, I could look at this book without any words all day long.
Sweet.
Now we're gonna get into some like quick hits
Quickies.
that we've been talking about. Actually, before we get into the real quick hits, I want to jump forward a bit, and I wanted to talk to you about Lantern City #1.
Okay. I only have a quick thought, but you go.
Well, just
with
I had read that this was coming out. People seem to like it. It's a familiar theme. Like comics all share familiar themes. The theme in this one is like there is a city, and the city is broken into classes, and the lowest class is the hardest working, and that's where our main character is. And there's a political movement in the lower class. Like they're not allowed to assemble. They're not they're slaves without being slaves. They're at the end of their shifts, they're able to go home to their families, but they really don't get anything. And our main character is a man who would love to see things change, but is so scared of what's going to happen to his family if he tries. Like he'd rather not rock the boat, even under extreme circumstances. He'd rather just like stay the course and be like, "This is really bad, but we have each other." But at the end, he becomes the one to um, there's a gathering of all the people in the lower class, and they kill, like the guards come to kill all the people who are there. They kill this guard, and he takes the place of the guard because the guards don't take off their helmets. He's able to put on the helmet, and now he's going to be going into the inner workings of the upper class and try and do damage there and change things from there. So I mean, it's a common theme where it's the lower class fighting versus the upper class. But I thought it was different because usually it's the person that you see speaking out the most who is trying to make that change. And here we have somebody who really does not want this responsibility, but it's being forced upon him. And now he realizes that he has to do this.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. But my thing, and it kind of shines in this, is that like for a long time before Archaea was bought out by Boom, like Archaea just put out original graphic novels. Like that was the thing. It's like
Days Missing,
4 or 5 a year. They would just come out, beautiful, hardbound, all types of different formats, paper type. And it was special, and you would get these grand stories start to beginning. I think this is one of those stories that would have been better off.
You're probably right.
Hitting all at once. Yeah. Because I can tell, like reading the first issue, it's going to be one of those things where now I'm going to let the rest stack up, and because I just want to read it in one shot.
I wonder why they decided to do that. Why they broke them down and put them into issues.
Because they need the constant money flow.
Yeah, you're right. Boom is a smaller studio, so that's probably why. I just thought like it'd be great if we own Archaea now, but you just keep doing your thing. You keep putting these things out, and with Boom is better known than Archaea, so they probably could have shined a bit of a spotlight on them even more than they originally had.
Yeah, well, Boom was more so like then, especially a lot of kids' books.
Yeah.
Like they just started getting into their heavier, deeper books,
and some of them are really good.
Oh yeah, definitely. So
we talked about Comic-Con before, but I'm gonna go to Comic-Con this year, and I'm gonna buy a bunch of Boom #1 trades.
Awesome.
Deep State is going to be there by that time, and we'll see where our what did I talk about last week? Archaea.
Yeah, Archaea always used to have huge sales at Comic-Con. So like buy one get one free, and
Arcadia, that was the name of the book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying RKO, the
Yeah.
publisher,
Yeah.
would always have huge trade paperback sales.
So,
So it'll be interesting.
yeah, we'll see where this goes. But it was an interesting first issue.
Okay,
Now,
these are the quickies.
yeah,
Uh,
you take two and I'll take two. Well, you know what?
yeah, you do Copperhead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about Copperhead really quick.
Because these are all really quick.
I had mentioned this book before. I read the first trade, liked it, and usually I would trade wait for something like this, but I picked up issue 6, which was the start of a new story arc, and I liked it a lot and decided to keep with it. So issue 7 continues. This series for me is a lot like The Walking Dead. I don't care about anything that's going on other than the main character and a couple of the characters that I've met so far. Like she's the sheriff. That's great. There's an overarching theme to why she's moved to this planet, why she's in Copperhead, why she's just up and left with her son. I'm interested to find out what's going on there. But all I really care about, like this issue, she's on a date, and I thought it was engaging. Like I like this main character. I talked previously about the deputy with the insanely hard to pronounce name, so everyone calls him Boo.
Yeah,
He might be like one of my new favorite characters in comics. He doesn't have a lot of page time, but when he shows up, it's special and it's funny. And like this is sneaking into my like top 10 for sure, and might end the year higher than that. So if you like that type of stuff, if you like good character stuff, I would say read Copperhead.
Awesome. Then you have Silk number 4, and this is pretty much leading up to, I guess that they're going to do an end of days story concerning Secret Wars, but this is her again, still finding her place in the world. Last issue, Fantastic Four showed up. Peter had called them because he was worried.
I love the way she treats Peter.
Oh yeah. It's like a brother sister.
Yeah.
You know, she beats the crap out of him kind of relationship. But the thing I love about this is, you know, Mr. Fantastic does all his testing, and it's like, look, you know, I can't find anything wrong with you. So, and this is what I really think it is. It's you have an anxiety disorder.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know. She doesn't know how to deal with that. And that's a big part of anxiety is the unknown and like your body reacting to things that you don't know what they are. Like I have an absolutely huge anxiety disorder, so I 100% can relate to everything spoken about anxiety in that issue. I love her thought process. She's like, no, I can't have anxiety. What are you talking about? I'm dancing.
Yeah. People with anxiety don't dance.
So it's again beautiful. Her still finding her place, and it looks like we have a nice big showdown next issue with Black Cat, who has been a major part of the storyline.
This is one of those books that needs to continue after Secret Wars.
Yeah.
And that we had mentioned this before, but like I really thought Spider-Gwen was going to be the one for me, like that I was going to love the most, and it ended up being Silk. And Silk, they need to find a way to continue this book. Art, story direction, characters, they're all great.
Yep, definitely. 100% agree.
Really quickly again, Darth Vader continues to just knock it out of the park. It's
a lot of unexpected stuff this issue.
A lot of unexpected stuff. We've sung this book's praises a lot, and there's slight humor in here. There's a seriousness. There's some awesome space whales, which you kind of don't ever see, as far as I know, in the Star Wars universe.
We'll get corrected on that.
Yeah, I'm sure, but like I've never seen it. So I mean, just really cool stuff. And again, we definitely recommend Darth Vader.
Yes.
And lastly,
oh man, Howard the Duck continues to be like laugh out loud. So the amulet that Howard has been hired to go find got stolen from him last issue by Aunt May. And
a gun-wielding, cursing Aunt May.
Correct, yeah. So I love how it turned out to be the ringmaster. For one big fact, when I was younger and I was first buying comics, I was 6-7 years old. I was always allowed to pick one new book, one old book.
Okay.
So my first time going into a comic store, I had picked up the first appearance of Hobgoblin. So that was in the Amazing Spider-Man run. And then there used to be Spidey Super Stories, which was based off of the Electric Company TV show.
Okay.
And in that particular issue, it had the Ringmaster and the Circus of Crime. So he's always stuck in my head as this like cheesy, like as this character in this book right here
Gotcha.
is how I've always portrayed him. So anyone who ever tries to do a serious Ringmaster,
Doesn't work for you?
no,
Gotcha.
not at all.
Cool. I think it's great. I mean, this has taken the place of Superior Foes of Spider-Man. And as far as like that, just you sit down and you laugh. They have a running theme, which is just make fun of Spider-Man every possible way. And this was the one that, Rob, you actually said you laughed out loud at the scene
I did,
this week.
because in the first issue when Howard gets like beamed onto the ship and Spidey thinks he's dead, and he goes up to like the burnt, scorched ground, and he's like, "Uncle Ben, no!"
Yeah.
I thought it was just weird and out of place. And I sat there and I just looked and I was like, okay, that is just really, really weird. So in this issue, though, they do a call back to that. Howard takes Aunt May to go try and figure out what the hell is going on. And she had previously been on the phone with Peter, so she leaves the phone and the flowers on the ground. And you see Spidey swing in from off panel, and he sees the stuff laying there. And again, same pose on the
Falls to his
ground.
knees.
Aunt May, no.
Why am I so bad at this?
That was so great, though. That was perfect. I think the line that I laughed the hardest at, and I did laugh at that other one. This one, though, Howard's knocked out, and he's waking up, and you just see She-Hulk standing over there. And it's like, Howard, it's me, She-Hulk, your only friend. For some reason, that just struck me. Total deadpan Jennifer saying that line.
So I mean,
another
surprise for me. I mean, it shouldn't be with Chip Zdarsky writing it, but it's funny, and I enjoy reading it every week. I always save it for last because it's good for a laugh right before I stop reading. And then you're looking at
the cover quote is my favorite comic currently published by Marvel Comics, and
it's Chip.
Yeah, Chip wrote that one.
Yeah.
No, actually, it's Chirp. Chirp Zdarsky.
All right, then. One last quick hit. We've been talking a lot about events lately with Convergence and Secret Wars going on. Rob and I wanted to shine a spotlight on one that we had kind of brought in last week, one that we really enjoyed, and that is Forever Evil by DC Comics. Their last big event before Convergence, I'll say.
Correct, yeah. And the reason why we're bringing it up is that the paperback version came out this week. So.
Yes, I've had this hardcover for 6 months, 7 months, and now the paperback is like, oh hey, DC's gotta get on that.
Even with just bringing hardcovers out fast, they're slow.
Forever. Forever Evil. For those who may be new to comics, don't really know, the bad guys got to save the day. There are some really, really, really bad guys, and the Captain Colds and Lex Luthors of the world. They've got to do something to stop these guys because the heroes, for reasons into the book, are nowhere to be found. It was 7 issues. Jeff Johns writing, David Finch on art, and it's really good. And with the trade paperback coming out, I think in the last week or so, might have been last week, could be this one. I'm not sure which one it was. It's definitely worth a read. If you're not a person into events, this is very self-contained. The 7 issues, you don't need to read anything else other than these 7 issues to get the idea of the story. And it sets the stage for the stuff in Justice League that happened afterwards. So we recommend everyone give Forever Evil a shot.
Yep.
And that's going to do it for us. Some housekeeping before we get out of here. We are Backup Stories. You can find us on Twitter at Backup Stories. My personal Twitter is at Joroak, Joroak.
And I'm at Dusk1020.
Every week, Rob and I are on the Talking Games podcast. You can follow us over there at Talking Games. This week, it was just a solo show with me and Steve, a little one-on-one.
A solo show with 2 people?
Yeah, solo show with 2 people.
And this coming week, I'll finally be able to talk about my new computer
Oh, yes, right.
that
Yes.
I've built, and now I am a PC master race, I guess. I'm
No.
kidding.
So yeah, definitely tune into us over there.
Mhm.
You could also download an audio version of the show. Talking Comics Special Edition is a new feed for us and for Comics and Coffee, which Bobby hosts every Friday. This one's a little bit late getting to you guys. Apologize, some things got in the way we couldn't get out of the way of. But we will be back next Friday, and until then, we'll see you later. Take care.